Thanks for downloading this show from PC One. Before we get rolling, here's a word from one of the folks who helped bring you this podcast. The following program is a PodcastOne.com production. He started in a small town in Texas. Worked his ass off to become one of the most famous wrestlers of all time.
We're going to take care of business tonight, and that's the bottom line.
And now he's dominating the world of on-demand audio. And he's doing it for the working man.
This is a damn good outlet for me to spew the bullshit off my brain.
Yeah! This is the Steve Austin Show. Unleashed.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Steve Austin Show. I am coming to you from the mean streets of Los Angeles, California. I got a hell of a podcast for you today. I'm talking to my buddy Ted Fowler, 361, down there in Rockport, Texas. I started getting tweets on my Twitter account, emails in my email account, questions at steveaustinshow.com asking me, hey, when's Teddy going to be back on the show? You and Teddy got heat? What's up with you and Ted? Well, you're going to find out what's up with me and Ted. Goddamn. I sold a ranch. I'm in California. He's in Texas. So we catch up right here on the podcast. And it was good shooting the breeze with him and having a couple of good laughs. So my guest today is Ted Fowler, 361. And we just got finished talking. I think we talked for about an hour, 20 hour and 25 minutes. Stacy will trim a little bit of that out, the parts where I started stuttering or doing whatever I was doing. So my conversation with Teddy is so long, I'm going to go ahead and keep this open real short. So before we get into the podcast with Ted Fowler, my illustrious wife, Kristen, has been busy cooking up her Blue Apron meals again. And she loves the Blue Apron because they have high-quality ingredients that are delivered right to the house. And they have a ton of vegetarian and vegan options. So this week she's cooking up baked spinach and egg flatbread with sauteed asparagus and lemon aioli. And she's also got all the ingredients and a recipe card for 3 cheese and baby broccoli stromboli with tomato and oregano dipping sauce. And thanks to Blue Apron, she's eating those delicious home-cooked dinners in less than 40 minutes. My wife also loves the fact that all Blue Apron ingredients are fresh and measured out in perfect proportions. And Blue Apron is easy to use. Every meal comes with step-by-step, easy-to-follow recipe cards. And like I already said, can be made in 40 minutes or less. And I'm telling you, a few Blue Apron meals under your belt, and you will be a gourmet chef. You can choose your meals each week and your delivery options. There's no weekly commitment, so you only get deliveries when you want them. You can see this week's full menu options and get your first 3 meals free with free shipping at blueapron.com/unleashed. You'll love how good the food tastes and how easy it is to make home-cooked meals with Blue Apron. So get on it. Go to blueapron.com/unleashed. That's blueapron.com/unleashed.
This week on All of the Above with Norman Lear, Veep star Julia Louis-Dreyfus sits down with Norman and Paul.
Well, you know, there wasn't a script when I was first talking to HBO about it. There was a concept, and my agent had said to me, listen, they're developing this thing at HBO about an unhappy vice president, an unhappy female vice president. And I thought to myself, well, I got to get in on this action because it's gold, and it's so amazing that nobody's done it before.
Listen today on the Podcast One app or subscribe at Apple Podcasts or on PodcastOne.com. Steve Austin, Unleashed.
Yeah, I'm recording sound. Rolling. I got Ted Fowler, 361, down there in Rockport, Texas, representing the 361 still. I'm representing 310 out here on the West Coast. Teddy, what in the flying fuck is going on? It's been a long time since I talked to you on the goddamn Steve Austin show. I had ever since I sold that goddamn ranch. And people saying, well, goddamn, does that mean Ted Fowler, 361, ain't going to be on the podcast no more? Y'all ain't going to be doing no podcast anymore? I said, goddamn. No, we're going to be doing plenty of fucking podcasts. Just settle down. Don't get your fucking panties in a twist. Fuck. And then some people are sitting there and some questions. Hey, man, is there heat between you and Ted? Hey, I don't know why is there goddamn heat between me and Ted, because the ranch is too fucking far for me to fucking keep going 1,500 miles there, 1,500 miles back. I ain't no goddamn heat with Ted. Fuck. I've been talking with him since, what the fuck? You been getting that shit too?
Oh, dude, I was getting a bunch of that shit. That's like, dude, he sold the fucking ranch. Nobody died. You know, I mean, it wasn't like we you know, had a fucking 3-ring knockdown drag out in the parking lot. It's like, dude, there's going to be another adventure around the horizon. Just sit tight, you know? Yeah, I got that. It's like, holy cow.
Well, it was kind of weird because a couple of guys bought the ranch, and so one of the guys, you got to tell this story, Ted, because this is nothing but a storytelling episode anyway. But you were the first person that Kristen and I told we were going to sell the ranch because you're one of our closest friends, and you're out there. You're in as deep as we are. I mean, all the work and the stuff. You've been out there for over 9 years, and we bought the place 10 years ago. So we've been through thick and thin together. And so when we decided, it'd been a little bit too much for us, we said, well, Ted's going to be the first guy we tell. And we kind of kayfabed it from a lot of people because, our business, and it was a hard decision to make. And so anyway, I remember that day I told you, and you're kind of like, hey man, I get it. If you sell this thing tomorrow, it's been a blast. But good luck to you. And then but I told you, but it also affected you. And then when I finally told you that we had an offer on the ranch, I was like, okay, you kind of measured your response, and I was like, okay, now he's selling a little bit here. And then when I said, well, looks like we sold the ranch, I said the deal hadn't closed, but it looks like it's going to. And then I called you and said the deal has closed. So you played it off real good, like you would do. But then you were out there, you were getting all your shit off the ranch. I'd already gotten all my shit off the ranch. And one of the owners came up and introduced himself to you. And you didn't have a good response for him because what did he say to you that pissed you off so much or just rubbed you the wrong way?
Oh, dude, right out of the gate. I hope he doesn't listen to the podcast because I'm going to let it out here.
No, those guys are good.
I don't give a fuck if he listens to it or not. It ain't my show.
No, they're good guys. But it's a good story.
No, he got out of his vehicle, and he's like, well, you must be Teddy. And I'm like, yeah, fuck, here we go. I said, I'm Ted. Because, I don't mind that you call me that or, yeah, people that I know, but I just don't want some, guy off the street. And he goes, well, I guess I just cost you a job. And I'm sitting there going, motherfucker.
Yeah, but I thought he told you. Looks like I think I just cost you a job and a hunting spot. He hit you with a double whammy.
Like, dude, you don't worry about where I'm hunting. I'll land on my feet. I was hunting before you got the ranch, and I'll be hunting after you got the ranch. Yeah, it was just a little. I don't know. I wasn't in the best mood, best frame of mind, and for him to come out, and hit me with that, I can think of some different topics to be humorous about. Hey pal, let's go see that fucking alligator. See how funny you think that is.
No, I can see the setup. No. Go ahead and stand there a little bit closer to the pond, and I'll get a picture from back here.
Hold this rabbit down by your waist.
God dang it. Hey man, let's catch up real quick. You sent me a picture last night, and last night, as we're speaking, it's Sunday afternoon. This show's going to drop on Thursday that you're listening or whenever you download it. We both just got finished watching UFC 211. I saw the undercard, and it was amazing. Goddamn, some knockdown, drag-out fights. And while I was watching the pre-fight stuff for the pay-per-view, Ted sent me a picture of a big old gash on his goddamn forearm. I said, what the fuck happened? What did you do yourself?
Dude, I was putting in some doors for this lady at her condominium. She's not there. I went to cut the strapping. They're big-ass sliding glass doors. I went to cut the plastic strapping off. And you know that old phrase, a dull knife will cut you quicker than a sharp one? Dude, I've been meaning to put an edge on my knife, and it's just been busy and just, blown it off. Well, I'm pulling that knife towards me rather than push it away, and I've got it around one of those green packing straps, and it's so fucking dull, it slides off of that thing, and the point of it goes right into my forearm, just below the bend of my elbow. Man, when I did that, I looked down, and that thing was wide open like a fillet. Man, I set that knife down, and I put my hand over it real quick, and I got a new helper because I fired my other help. That's another story. I got a new helper, and he's standing inside. He didn't see what happened. And I said, dude, grab a handful of those paper towels. And he comes running out. What'd you do? And I lifted my hand off to grab that wad of paper towels. Dude, and blood is pumping out of that thing. And he gets all white, and he's like, starts doing that, And I'm like, oh, Christ, man. And I'm down on my knees, and I'm holding that. And it's like when I hit the table saw, and got my fingers. Yep. It's like, man, I grabbed hold of him and squeezed him. I knew I'd screwed him up, and I was a little leery to look at it. And I finally pulled the paper towel off, and blood is just pouring out of it. And I'm like, God damn, I wonder if I hit that vein or the artery or whatever. He gets me some more paper towels. Now, mind you, we've got a 6-foot hole in the side of this lady's house that we just got that door out of. And he's going, man, you need to go to the emergency room. You need to go to the emergency room. Well, shit, I can't leave the lady's house like that. So I carry a medical kit, first aid kit in the truck, go out and get some gauze pads. And he's too much of a pussy to even wrap it up for me. I'm like, dude, just close your eyes. Don't look at it. Treat it like the sun. Don't look directly at it. But I can't wrap this up by myself. So he finally wraps it up. We put the door in the hole, and I'm like, man, just put some screws in there. We'll put a couple of boards across it. I'll come finish it tomorrow. Now that I think about it, I probably do need to go to the emergency room. Yeah. So that's how Saturday evening started.
Yeah, but you said they put some goddamn staples in there. Why didn't you just stitch it? Because I would have think that the stitches would be a little bit less painful than the staples they used.
Oh, dude, I didn't realize that place closed at 5 on the weekends. I thought it was a 24/7, emergency urgent care center is what it is here in Rockport. So hell, I come rolling in at 4:45. Well, shit, like everybody else, they're ready to go home. And you hear the doctor on the phone talking to somebody, and he's like, man, I got one more that just come in. And I'm like, fucking great. Yeah, I'm sorry I screwed up your dinner plans, dude. This was not my plan.
Dude, he was trying to haul ass to get down to see UFC 211 on pay-per-view.
God damn, he could TiVo it, man. Come on, I'm going to bleed out here. Yeah. So he comes in and looks at it, and I've got it wrapped up. And I said, now look, man, in my unprofessional opinion, because remember how I tried to diagnose that elbow injury? You saw how that worked out. I said, in my unprofessional opinion, I think to expedite things, you could probably throw a few butterfly stitches on that thing. I'll keep it dry. I won't do too much. And we're down the road. Well, the guy cuts that wrapping off, and it's been on there so tight. Man, as soon as he cuts that off, blood starts pumping out again, and he's like, yeah, that's a little more than butterfly stitches, pal. So he gets the nurse in there. She gets it all cleaned up. And I kind of felt like the guy was outside looking at his watch going, God damn, all right, it takes me 6 minutes to get to the car. I can be on the freeway in 15, 10 minutes to shower, get the old lady. We got dinner reservations at 6:30 at the yacht club or wherever they're eating, and I'm like, son of a bitch. So the guy comes in with like a fucking horse needle, and a big old hypodermic deal with that, whatever they numb you up. Lidocaine, yeah. And he goes, hey man, here's the worst part. I got to stick this in the incision or in the cut there. And I'm going, fuck, it can't hurt any worse than me, jabbing myself with the end of that dull fucking knife. So go ahead and let it rip. Dude, I hardly even felt it. Surprising enough, and he juiced it up and he was like, well, I think we'll just do staples. So he takes his glasses off to do the staples, and I'll send you a picture of it, and you need to expand it on your phone because the two staples right in the middle he missed. That's only hooking on one side. Yeah, it's like goddamn Rockport. You got to save the fucking receipt when you go to the doctor. Yeah.
Do you get charged if the staple doesn't actually close the wound?
I think that falls under the 80% success ratio or something like that. There's a certain amount of tolerance that they allow you, leeway one way or another, good or bad. And I think I fall under that, under that realm. It's
bad when the doctor putting staples in your arm. Oops. Doc, what's wrong? I'm going to have to call a mulligan on that one.
Dude, he did that. He put one in and he took it out.
Yeah. Dude, he wasn't going to UFC 211. He was trying to get to the fucking bar. He was in DTs.
Yeah, I mean, when your doctor takes his glasses off to see what he's doing, it's like, dude, I know you're not wearing those to pick up chicks. I mean, it's Rockport. You know, goddamn, dude. Yeah, I swear to God, I'll send you a picture, man. You will literally shake your head because two of them are you know, I'm almost tempted to grab a pair of needle nose pliers and just hook them over the incision. You know? Yeah, like, goddamn, let me try, you know.
Well, goddamn, after hearing all the bullshit that you went through on that Obamacare bullshit, and I ain't talking about politics, but I know you all your fucking policy, your prices went up and all this fucking shit happened to you. You at least, I'd be so hard-headed, I'd have to stand in line and say, hey, I ain't paying for two of these motherfuckers. I'm telling you that right now.
Well, dude, here's the deal. Because I have such a low tolerance, you know, for the insurance company, this place has its own deal where you sign up for an annual membership, so to speak, and it has nothing to do with your current health insurance. You're basically buying a service from them where every time I go in there, the most they can charge me is $135. You know, no matter what they do, if they do X-rays, if they do like the 7 staples, $135. Even if it was 5, you know, it was $135. So the 2 that didn't go in right, I guess I got for free, technically. You know, so you don't have to jack with your insurance. You just, you know, drop your debit card and, you know, pay them. You know, and I went in there and the girl goes, "Have you been here before?" I go, "Yeah, shit, I was here last month when I stepped on that nail." You know, yeah. Like, goddamn, the best payout plan I got is with you guys. You know?
When I stepped on that nail, when the fuck did you? I know you're on a construction site all the time because that's what you do. You build stuff, but when the fuck did you step on a nail? You didn't tell me that one.
Dude, that was about a month or 6 weeks ago. Now, here's the thing. I was in the water, so I'm wearing my Chuck Taylors, right? My wading shoes, because I'm working on this pier. You know, and I'm secure the bottom, and I get out, and I've got a new guy working for me, and he's just slow as shit. He's no longer with the company. Imagine that. He's just slow as shit popping up these old deck boards. And when we pop them up, they were originally nailed down. So sometimes the nails come out, and sometimes they don't. Sometimes they shear off and stay in those runners. So you've got rusty nails. It's like a 2-inch spike that's sticking up. Well, as I take these deck boards off, I keep moving them in front of me, so I got something to stand on. Now I got size 15 feet, and I'm standing on a sideways 2x6, which is 5.5 inches. So I'm not as agile as I possibly could be. So I got all these nails on boards piled up behind me, and broken nails sticking up out of the stringers in front of me. Well, I step forward, and a goddamn nail goes up through the bottom of my shoe directly into my foot. And of course, your knee-jerk reaction is pull your foot up real quick and be like, fuck. Well, I lose my balance. I start going backwards, and I turn to put my hand down. Nail went through my right foot. I put my hands down. Nail goes through the right palm of my hand. So I get the double whammy. So I'm jumping around, and my new guy's looking at me like, "Oh fuck, yeah. See what happens when you go fast?" You know, yeah.
I'm not laughing at you, Teddy. I'm laughing with you.
Yeah. You know, so I mean, with you know, the stuff still ringing in my mind for the elbow surgery. I'm like, God damn, there's no doubt, you know, that I need a tetanus shot because this stuff, you know.
Let me ask you a question, Teddy. Are those low top or high top Chuck Taylors?
They're high top. No self-respecting athlete wears low top.
God damn. God damn it. What in the hell are you wearing a pair of Chuck Taylors for? I ain't never seen you anywhere near a basketball court. Or just that's because you heard through the course of your career when you're working in the underwater conditions with walking on boards with nails sticking through them that Chuck Taylor's the go-to shoe.
Dude, because I have such big-ass feet. The biggest wading shoe I can find is a size 15, And man, that cramps up my toes. You know, I mean, I need something bigger than a 15 because I can't walk around in them. It's uncomfortable. You know, I mean, it's almost as bad as being married. You know, the goddamn shoes too tight. So I get this bright idea. I get this bright idea. I'll get on eBay.
Oh, no.
And I ordered size 17 Chuck Taylors to go over my stocking foot waders, right? My neoprene waders.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, I look like a fucking clown. I look like I got swim fins on. You know how people walk on dry land with swim fins? Yeah, that's kind of like what I'm doing. You know, only there's not really that much room. Yeah, so that's why I wade in my Chuck Taylors.
Goddamn, Teddy's high price you got over at Ted Fowler Construction. I figure you'd be walking around on those boards and nails with them underwater and them goddamn Air Jordans. Dude, I know if you start wearing Air Jordans, things are taking an uptick in Rockport, Texas. And, goddamn, I know you've been reading the computer because you've been staying up with everything in politics, but, hell, you might be wearing big baller brand stuff. Those tennis shoes are only $495 a pair. They can get you a couple of pair of 17s.
Jesus, I'll tell you what, I thought I was trendy there for a little while. You know those Timberland boots?
Oh, yeah.
That I went online and got me a pair of those. For some reason, I thought me walking around with those and a pair of jeans would just be the shit here in Rockport, Texas.
Well, how'd that work out for you?
Not so well.
Plenty of fish.
I probably should have kept that receipt as well.
Well, goddamn, what you been doing with your dating life lately? I mean, not to bring it up on a podcast, but I mean, fuck, I ain't seen you in a goddamn couple months. I ain't talked to you too much other than a few phone calls we had.
Dude, I haven't been doing shit, man. I've just been working, you know, just making money and paying bills and saving money. And, you know, dude, I haven't been dating. I ain't got time for that shit. I'm making money right now.
Ted Fowler without a piece of pussy is like me without a glass of whiskey.
I've got one on layaway. God damn.
Hey, man, now that you ain't driving back and forth to the ranch, have you decompressed any? Like, what have you done to shift a lot of your time and focus on? Because, Jesus Christ, sometimes you go to the ranch every week, sometimes you go every other week, sometimes you go 3 times a month. I mean, and you're working full-time there at Ted Fowler Construction, your business in Rockport. So what are you doing now that you have a lot more time on your hands?
Oh man, and that's the thing. It's like it's new ground because I do have a bunch of time on my hands, and I'm just being consumed with work. You know, I mean, dude, I have so much stuff on the books lined up. People are you know, they're waiting indefinitely for me. Just, you know, promise that you'll come and get here when you can. You know, I worked today. I worked yesterday. This is about the 3rd week in a row I've gone 7 days a week. You know, I went fishing one morning with Weasel, and when we killed him, and it's like, dude, I need to do more of that. But, dude, right now it's 7 days a week, just working like hell and making money, you know?
So goddamn, moving on up.
Trying to. You know, now that the arm's healed up, I got back into shooting the bow. You know, been doing that. I have not hit a golf ball yet, you know, with the new elbow. I'm kind of, you know, back to working out a little bit. Trying to ease into that thing. I've got this fear that I'm going to clank a golf ball and hurt that elbow, so I'm not quite ready to do that. But, you know, man, everything's good.
You on the wagon or off the wagon?
No shit, dude. God damn. Going back to the ranch thing. Hey, dude, nobody died, you know. Yeah, let's not create any heat between you and me. Fuck no, I'm not on the wagon.
God damn it, Teddy. I had such a damn trip going back to Texas. I went down there and picked up my damn truck, put all my guns in the back of the truck, and hooked up my utility trailer. And I done told this story on the podcast, and I think I told you, but goddamn it, I pulled out of my parents' house and pulled through San Antonio, went through Curve Hill. I could have gassed up, but I said, no, man, I can make Junction. It's 43 miles. I got a quarter tank. Well, I hadn't been pulling that utility trailer in a long time, and goddamn, I ran out of gas. And Motherfucker, long story short, you know the story and so does everybody else. The guy, Highway Patrol, stops, helps me out, gets me a gas can, get gassed up. Fuck, man, I'm 842 miles down the road. I got 8 miles to go to Lordsburg, New Mexico to pull over for the night at the KOA campground where I'm staying in the deluxe cabin, and the goddamn loading gate on my utility trailer, fucking, the flanges break off and that motherfucker falls down. It scares the shit out of me. I'm hung over. I drank a fifth of whiskey with, shooting a breeze with Neil and my mom and dad, and they went to sleep, and then me and Neil just stayed up and shot the breeze. He's such a good kid, and fuck, man, I went to bed. I looked at the clock. I said, holy fuck, I got to be out of here. I got on the road 4:45, and, I was pretty frazzled, and then when that gate fell off my damn trailer, and I jerry-rigged it back up on that motherfucker, took the exit to Lordsburg. Took a wrong turn as far as getting to the KOA, but I took a right turn because I ended up right there at the liquor store, and I was about half hungover and kind of just frazzled because I didn't get enough sleep. And, goddamn, when you drink a fifth of tequila, that's a fifth of tequila.
Yeah.
And, boy, I picked up a bottle of margarita mix, and if they'd had a bottle of Patron, I probably would have pulled the trigger, but they didn't have any Patron. I said, well, fuck it, I ain't drinking nothing else. So I went over to the beer section and got a 6-pack of Goose Island IPA, and I was just standing there in that damn store, and I felt like Walter White. And I don't know what scene of Breaking Bad, but I just felt like Walter White, maybe because I'm bald-headed and got a goatee, and I just had that IPA in my goddamn hand. I think I stood there for about 2 or 3 minutes. I thought I was about to keel over and croak because of all the fucking stress and bullshit that I had been through. And finally I went up there, and the guy didn't at the cash register recognize me, and in real kayfabe fashion asked me for an autograph, and I signed him an autograph. And as he looked at me, and we shook hands, and I paid for the beer and rode off into the sunset. He was real cool, but I was just thinking the impression I left on that young man. He finally gets a chance to meet a global icon, a national treasure, the former Stone Cold Steve Austin live and in living color, but goddamn does he stink, look like shit, and just does not look to be in a good state of mind. And I hadn't shaved in about 4 or 5 days to begin with. Anyway, goddamn it, Teddy, I slept at the KOA campground that night, and then got up the next morning. I was on the road by 4 a.m. sharp. And that fucking pickup of mine, I love that thing. It's only got 77,000 miles on it, but that fucking 5.3-liter motor, it does fine now that it's out here in Los Angeles and I'm not pulling the utility trailer. But the whole way you're getting up here, you're driving uphill. So that thing's constantly kicking down, then back in overdrive. Constantly kicking down, and I was like, motherfucker. So the last 650 miles is like when I got in, and then to L.A., pulling the 6x12 utility trailer in L.A. traffic, these motherfuckers and these little 3 Series BMWs and these Priuses with the cigarettes sticking out the goddamn window trying to be green, and they want to cut you off, or I'm just waiting for someone because they like to get in behind you so fast or get in front of you so fast. I'm just waiting on a sumbitch, to sideswipe my trailer. And so anyway, nothing happens. I make it back to the crib. But when I back that trailer into my driveway, I was like, you know what? That was the most brutal trip out of the 1,500-mile trips that I'd made back and forth to that summit for the last 10 years. That kind of put the final nail into the coffin and into the equation because, Teddy, when you left out for the last time, you left out, and I don't know what your feeling was, but goddamn, I got a picture of it. Maybe I'll send a picture of it out on Twitter on Thursday when this podcast airs. I took a picture of that gate and that half-mile strip that runs to the high fence, and boy, I was pretty sad at that point because I knew it was a big changing point in my life. And then I drove down that road. But then, like I said, once the calamity hit in Junction, once the shit hit the fan outside of Lordsburg, once I rolled into Los Angeles, I was like, God damn it, it is what it is. So I've kind of turned the page and moved on to the next endeavor. But that last trip was kind of the thing that, like, when I got home and saw Kristen, I was like, okay, I think I can come to grips with this, and I think I can deal with this. Well, obviously, we made the decision to do it, and we were serious about it. Yeah. But holy smokes, the withdrawal was over, and I still have memories about the ranch, but boy, I tell you what, that last trip was a fucking bitch. And then,
I mean, the thing about it is, you know, there's no second guessing, that was the decision that you wanted to make. It's like, after a bullshit, trip like that, it's like, fuck yeah, I want to do that again.
Well, I was talking with the new owners because I've gotten pretty friendly with those guys, and they're real nice folks. And I'll be goddamn if one of them was out there and he went down there and bigger than Dallas, the 3,000-gallon poly tank at the barn had not filled up from the big Pila down by the east fence line or the west fence line. And I was like, well, if I'd have just went down to the ranch, or you had went down to the ranch, that would have been you or me that would have been without water, because the fact that the thing changed hands doesn't mean all the problems or the maintenance disappears or shifts. It's all the same shit. And I don't think there's been one single time that I rolled down there or you rolled down there in the history of the 10 years of ownership and not a single thing needed to be done.
Oh no, dude! There's always something that needs to be fixed, or a task that got started that needs to be finished. Yeah, dude. I chuckle when I think about those guys rolling down there and not having any water. It's like, yeah, guess what, pal? You're fucking ranching now.
But that's because we've been there and did it, and I would fiddle fuck around with that thing enough if I had to. I could figure most of it out, but the water department was never my specialty, and for some reason you gravitated towards that and figured out all those valves and all that bullshit and the little the contact points. You got to be a pretty good hand in working on that shit. And I wore as many hats as I needed to, but I always left that over there in your department. How did you bring yourself up to speed on all that?
Oh, dude, it was just trial and error. I mean, the couple of times we had the well guys come out there, and I was always asking them questions. It was like going to work with a 6-year-old kid. Why is this that way, and why is that way? And just asking a bunch of questions and kind of coming up with a battle plan to troubleshoot what's going on. Goddamn, remember the time I used the tractor to lift up the black poly hose and stick it in the side of the Pila and, fill the Pila up through the 7-inch well, and, because the motor burned up down the 5-inch well. He's like, goddamn, I mean, I understand if I get water in this thing, it'll pump it to the house, and then I can go in and, take a shower and take a crap and do dishes. So somehow, some way, it either needs to rain a hell of a lot, or I got to come up with a plan to get water. And, and you just troubleshoot, and, a lot of trial and error. A lot of trial and error.
The one thing I think when the water shuts down, and it can happen twice a year. It might not happen for 3 or 4 years. You just never know when something random might happen, whether it's a contact point, rats ate a wire, float valves fucked up, just something. That's just time and a ranch. But sometimes, what was it? A lightning strike struck the lightning box. A lightning strike hit that power pole over there, blew the transformer, and I think there's only the one instance when all the meat fucked up in the freezers, wasn't it?
No, there was 2 times. It happened this last year, and then the year prior.
But this last year was the Mac Daddy one.
That's the one where I had to throw out that black refrigerator freezer, because I had that goddamn rattlesnake in the freezer, and that thing had sit for a week with no power. Yeah, there was no remedy in that.
Well, shit, I'm sitting here talking to Ted Fowler 361 on Twitter. I'm going to take a pause for the calls for words of the sponsors to keep the show on the air. Twice a week, that's how I'm able to deliver this podcast for you. I'm shooting the breeze with Ted Fowler 361. Maybe I'll come back. We'll talk about Ted's favorite memories and his worst memories, and shoot the breeze and talk about the scene in Rockport, Texas. I'm coming right back with Ted Fowler 361.
If you're in the market for a car, then you need to check out TrueCar. TrueCar gives you the price and information you need to feel confident about your purchase. When you register with TrueCar, you'll see what other people in your local area paid for the car you want. And from there, you can connect with a local TrueCar certified dealer and enjoy a more confident car buying experience. TrueCar shows you real pricing on actual inventory, so you see competitive pricing offered to you by TrueCar certified dealers for vehicles that are actually on their lots. And you'll also see all the dealer incentives before you get to the lot, so you can feel confident about the price when you show up. TrueCar makes car buying easy, no matter if you're looking for a brand new or used vehicle. And the stats don't lie. Over 3 million cars have been sold to TrueCar users by the TrueCar Certified Dealer Network. There are over 13,000 dealers in that network, with some 700,000 pre-owned vehicles available. So do yourself a favor and go to TrueCar for your next car buying experience. TrueCar doesn't just make the process easier, it'll save you some money. TrueCar users save an average of over $3,000 off MSRP. So when you're ready to buy a new or used car, visit TrueCar to enjoy a better car buying experience. Some features not available in all states.
My name is Raven, professional wrestling superstar, raconteur extraordinaire, and other adjectives. Or is it adverbs? Anyway, join me in a motley assortment of friends, enemies, ne'er-do-wells, and know-nothings as we banter about all kinds of nonsense every Monday here at the Jericho Network on Podcast One. Download and listen to the show on PodcastOne.com, the Podcast One app, and Apple Podcasts. Quote the Raven, nevermore.
Steve Austin, Unleashed.
All right, here I am with Ted Fowler, 361, rolling around, reminiscing, talking about the Broken Skull Ranch. Teddy, when you first got out to the ranch way back in the day, when you get out there, that place is 2,000 acres. It's in the shape of a rectangle. And goddamn, when you first get out there, that sumbitch can turn you around, and you can get flat out lost. Did you ever get lost out there, and you ever get worried?
No, I never got lost, because I mean, you always got an idea, which way the houses are, but unless you're driving, it's hard to remember where you're going. And I never really would get too far off of the beaten path, in those buggies. I mean, you got out there and did a lot more exploring than I did, walking down that big old drainage on the backside of Tombstone. Shit, I know what's out there. I ain't getting out and walking in that son of a bitch. Yeah, no, so I pretty much stayed on the roads.
But it was just when I first got that ranch, it took me a couple of months. I mean, it's not like you get, here's the thing, when you're on a high-fence place that's shaped like a rectangle, no matter how big the property is, whether it's 2,000 or 20,000, Jesus Christ, if you're on a road and you follow a fence, it's going to take you back around to probably where you came from. At least in our case, it's going to run you right back to the damn house. So just follow a road or follow a fence line. But just as far as getting your directions, hell, I think I was going to Tombstone, but it would end up at Titanic or whatever. I just didn't know how to get my way around the ranch. And then, like you said, a couple of those times when there wasn't nobody down there and you're out there in South Texas by yourself, it's like, hey, man, I'm out there doing all this exploration type thing, and it's rattlesnake season. I got a pair of tennis shoes on, of course, and a pair of shorts. I don't have a shotgun, and I'm just, got some orange flagging tape and just trying to get some locations maybe to put a deer stand. And all of a sudden, making you thinking, man, if I do get bit by a rattlesnake, and maybe I should put my rattlesnake boots on because of this, ain't nobody going to hear you holler. And if you get turned around a little bit, sometimes when you leave your buggy and you're walking in all that thick brush, you'll it might take you a few minutes to find your buggy rather than walking a direct path back to it, getting on it, and hauling ass to the ranch, to the main house, which is sometimes it's going to take you a little time just to find your buggy, get on the sumbitch, and head back to the ranch house. So it's pretty intimidating out there when you realize you're the only sumbitch out there. And, the biggest thing for me sometimes would be mowing those tank dams over there by the duck pond, even there at Dolly Pond, and those sumbitches, and even over at the Shark Tank where we used to dove hunt. When you're at an angle in that damn Komodo tractor, and you got that 15-foot batwing shredder, and that's basically what's really holding you there. And I keep that bucket as low as possible for the center of gravity to be low. But boy, I tell you what, when you're mowing at an angle and all of a sudden you go off in a hog waller and that damn inside wheel goes down, it's like, God damn, I'm going to flip this bitch over and I'm going to drown in the cab of the tractor underneath the water. How many times you ever think about that shit?
Oh, dude, every time I would mow a tank dam, I swear to God, I would be in the cab of the truck leaning the opposite way, like thinking that's going to offset. Yeah, I'm sitting there going, hey, man, I fucking hate this. I mean, I don't know whether to go fast and just say fuck it and hope for the best or go slow. And I mean, there was a number of times where I'd be up on the side of the dam mowing, and I'd freak myself out, and I would peel off and go down and say, fuck it, man. And then I would just back the shredder up the dam and go straight up and down because I didn't want to drive on that thing diagonally because I freaked myself out. I would do that, about every third or fourth time I would mow the place. And it's like, God damn, dude. I mean, how do you Yeah, how do you explain that one? Hey, everything's good. I saw a big fucking deer turn the tractor over. Oh, the water's looking good, man. The house is great.
That one over at the duck pond, though, that one, I would be in first gear, creeping along, bucket damn near dragging the ground in front, and it's like, dude, you've done this for the past 9 years, but every time you get, that's some serious pucker factor right there, where my damn ass has grabbed a hold of that seat, and that's why the cloth is moved, that's why the cloth is gone if the new owners are wondering where it's at.
Rats get in here and chew the seat? No, dude, just mow the tank dam. You'll see.
Dude, I'm doing the same thing as you. I'm kind of leaning over on the other side, and I know my 265 ain't going to really fucking make a difference in the big scheme of things. And then sometimes it's like, boy, you'll just push the clutch in and stop. Yeah. And he's like, all right, because I'll start hyperventilating. That's how fucking, because when you've already committed, because you ain't going to back up, because backing up is the same as driving forward. So you might as well, and even more difficult, because if you back up, that shredder starts going the wrong direction. Well, you've got to turn your wheels to correct, and you don't want to turn your wheels when you run in direct parallel with that fucking bank, because it's your ass. So you just keep going forward, but it's like sometimes you push in that clutch, you're like, God damn. And one time every now and then I'd call Chris and I said, hey man, I said, if you don't hear from me, I'm over at the duck pond mowing. Might do a drive-by and give me a hootie hoot. If you see four tires stick in the air, call the fucking helicopter to get me out and life flight me up there to Houston to see if they can bring me back to life. Hey, what was your best rattlesnake story down there, Teddy?
Oh, man, this season when I was walking to Tombstone, and I sent you guys that video of it, that rattlesnake slithered across the road right in front of me, and it went into the brush. And as soon as it got, off of the trail into the brush, it coiled up and started rattling. And I mean, man, that thing was buzzing like crazy. And I was, 5 feet from it. By the time I saw that, it was making tracks going across the road, and I was, and you got that 308 with that big ass scope, you're not intended to make a 5-foot shot with that thing, but luckily first shot, I killed it. Yeah, that was an exciting rattlesnake story, that's for sure.
When the new ranch owners asked if we had any rattlesnakes, I said, no, none to speak of. I said, well, what do you zero your gun at? Well, I like to keep my unsighted dead on at 5 yards.
Well, when that guy came out to the ranch and he said, I said, hey, man, what do you want to see? He said, can we go down and look at, the Pila and the Carrizo well? I said, yeah. I said, let me get my snake boots, because I'm just wearing regular tennis shoes. And he's like, snake boots, really? I said, yeah, it'll just take a second. I went inside, got him. I came back out. He goes, you guys got many snakes out here? I'm like, dude, are you shitting me? Dude, we've had them in the fucking truck. You guys probably won't see any, but I like to be safe. I'm all just check my medical records. I'm all about being safe.
Goddamn, I tell you what, one of the guys was down the other day and they texted me a picture, and there was, I swear to God, I'll send you a picture if I can find it. A guy, it was one of their guys, was holding up a snake, and I believe that snake to be at least 7 foot long, and the goddamn thing was as big around as my calf. And I was thinking, I told him, I said, holy fuck, I said, where did y'all, I said, is that on the ranch? And he goes, yeah, I guess y'all left it behind for us. I said, man, I said, we ain't never seen, any rattlesnake is dangerous, but I said, we ain't never seen a snake like that. That motherfucker, I swear to God, Teddy, we thought it was a rat. It was a rattlesnake that's been eating the protein.
God damn.
He was a damn monster. It was the biggest snake I've ever seen out there. So,
well, it's that time of year, too. It's that time of year.
But the thing about them goddamn rattlesnakes is you just never know when you're going to see them, because sometimes you can go out there and you won't see a rattlesnake the entire year, and then sometimes you go out there and you'll see 3 in 1 week, and you just don't know. And me and Kristen flew down there, had the dogs, and I come out of the pavilion when I came out of my house, and I was fixing to start loading everything up in the trailer, and we just went down there to get all our shit. And as soon as I stepped out of my door, I looked over towards your door, and I just casually glancing around just because I was in the pavilion. But when you get out there, you're just so in tune with everything because you're just looking for shapes. Because I'm indoors, I'm looking for stuff, or I'm not really trying to look for stuff, but I see stuff that's not supposed to be there. If I'm outdoors, I'm looking for stuff that's supposed to be there, but because of it's a horizontal, rounded shape or some horns or whatever. So get back to the thing. I come off my front porch steps and I just look right over in your general direction, and I can see that something ain't right, and boom, as soon as I see it, I know it's a goddamn rattlesnake. And the little fucker might have been 14 inches long. And I said, well, look at this. So I walked up on that sumbitch. I said, yep, he was sleeping. So I went on back to the safe. I got out that break action 410, opened up the pavilion door, and just started using that barrel of that gun just to motivate his ass out the goddamn door so that I didn't shoot the cement, shoot the house or whatever. And, he was trying to strike at me, but when they're just, the 14-inch little rattlesnake, they barely can move. So he crawled on out there, and by the time he had got out there in the gravel, well, then I put some lead to his ass, and more importantly, blew his head off, but ended his life at a very early stage. He probably had about 3 rattles on him. But see, it's those little fuckers like that, because, me wearing my flip-flops, boy, that sumbitch would have had a goddamn gourmet buffet on my goddamn foot with a size 13 big fat-ass foot. But what really bothers me is not that. He got one of our damn dogs. We was lucky the whole time we owned that son of a bitch that not one of our dogs got busted by a rattlesnake, and you was out there hunting Cassie on the doves and then, running your German short hairs. So from that respect, we got lucky.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, we're a long way from help, and I do not believe the sheriffs would send, the helicopter out for one of our dogs either. Yeah, that would have been tough.
God damn it, Teddy, what are you gonna miss most about that ranch?
Oh, dude, just going out there and just, just fucking around, just hanging out with you guys and drinking and laughing and cutting up, and all of the stupid shit that we used to get into and get out of, and just shit like that. God
damn, I'll never forget that time I was riding that Komodo tractor down there at Tombstone. I think I did it. I know I did it at Tombstone once, and it might have been, I think it was Tombstone twice, because I'm always trying to cut that lake, and that thing backs up there, and that slough gets in there, and I think I can get closer to that pond than I can. And I think I stuck that truck there bigger than Dallas a couple times. And I just remember, it was in different years, but I could remember the look on your face when I said, hey, man, could you bring the John Deere over here and pull me out of Tombstone? And then by the time you got there, you had this look on your face like, what in the fuck are you doing driving in this shit? And, of course, I felt dumber than a goddamn rock. I own the motherfucker, but it doesn't make me a rocket scientist due to the fact that I own the place. And then we always was able to get the equipment out, but it always, because it would just, it's very defeating when you have to leave a tractor stuck in the mud to wait for the place to dry out, because everything out there is four-wheel drive, and when you've got a big-ass 100-horsepower four-wheel drive monster that you can't pull out with another four-wheel drive tractor, you've really fucked up.
Dude, do you remember that deal? Because Kristen came down, and she was in your white truck, and I drove the John Deere down, and I hooked a chain from the back of the John Deere to the back of the Kubota, and then we hooked a chain to the white truck and the bucket of the John Deere. So I'm in the middle. So if either one of those fucking chains snap, I'm dead. And we're trying to pull that big bastard out of the hole, and it's like, God damn, we did some ill-advised shit, man.
Yeah, but here's the thing. If you remember, one of those chains was jerry-rigged together,
with a bolt.
With a bolt. So if you're listening out there, if you know what a chain looks like, you got these links that link together and then forms a chain. Well, one of our chains was linked together with a bolt stuck through one link, the same bolt stuck to the other link, and you had the end and the nut that was holding the chain together, which were too big to go through the hole, and that was about the dumbest thing we've ever did. And on the note of chains, that one time when we had come back from Tulsa, you and I got off that airplane, we'd done a podcast, and we came down in my truck, we was riding down the county road, and there in the road was something, and I always like finding shit on the road, and it was a goddamn big ass, about a 20-foot chain that had obviously fall off one of those transport trucks that was out there for the oil field. And goddamn, we got out, and I thought it was Christmas.
I remember that. You threw it in the back of the truck. You're like, score.
Dude, here's the thing. When we left the ranch, that was one thing that had sentimental value to me. Out of all, some of that stuff conveyed with the ranch, but that's one of the things I took. I took that truck that you and me found. I brought it back here to Los Angeles, and then that old drill bit that we used to hold the pavilion door open.
Yeah.
I got that here at my crib to hold my door open. So I got a few pieces here and there just to remind me of the ranch. And they mean a lot to me. They ain't nothing but piles of shit. Well, don't get me wrong. That chain will come in handy for the rest of my life if I ever need it. If I don't need it, well, that's fine too. One other thing, Teddy, I kept out of that barn, and I know you might guess it, but I'm going to give it to you because it's a podcast. I ain't got all day for you to sit there and guess which thing I took. I also took, some of my select tools, just like you took all your shit back. Mm-hmm. But one of the things I took was, and if you own a ranch or if you've ever been out in the outdoors, you'll know what I'm talking about. I took that pair of bolt cutters. Because, brother, because I think you've been locked out of that ranch before or locked in when someone put on a different combination code for a lock or something. But when you own a ranch and you can't get in it or out of it, you need a pair of fucking bolt cutters. And if you ain't got a pair, you are fucked. I kept those bolt cutters. Was that you or me that bought them?
No, it was me because I had gone down the week before, and the oil field company put a new combination lock on, and they didn't tell us the new combo.
Yep.
So I'd driven all the way from Rockport to the ranch to work, and I couldn't get in. So, I just picked up a couple of big rocks on the side of the road and started beating on that lock until it came on. And I called you up, and I was like, hey, dude, somebody's going to be pissed off, but they locked me out. And then you found out what it was, and you said when you go back to Rockport, go to Discount and get the biggest bolt cutters you could find. And I think the biggest bolt cutters they had were like 3 foot long. They're huge. Yeah. And I'm like, dude, you got 3 of them? I need one at the ranch, one in my truck, and one for Steve. Yeah, I still got mine.
Man, the thing about them bolt cutters is you might as well get the biggest pair you can get. It ain't about being compact. When you get some of those tough-ass locks with some of the steel they make locks with these days, you need all the fucking leverage you can get. So I always recommend to you people, I talk about jumper cables, I talk about 4-in-1 screwdrivers, all kinds of stuff. If you're out there in the middle of nowhere, pair of bolt cutters, a set of bolt cutters, whatever it is, just get you a goddamn bolt cutter, because that some bitch will save your ass. Well, fuck. To hell with the ranch. We had so much goddamn fun out there. Holy smokes. Goddamn, this last season was a motherfucker. Oh, here's a question for you. How's my European mount going on that 10-point I shot?
Dude, it's done. It's just sitting there. So's your father's and a couple of Neil's ones. I shot up a flare to Neil, saying, hey, if you ever get in this, general direction, I've got about 3 or 4 heads for those guys.
Oh, okay. And that one, what about the mistake deer? Did your buddy patch him up yet?
No, I'm waiting for you to send me the picture so I can, make it symmetrical.
God damn. Oh, yeah. So anyway, to the people out there listening, the mistake deer was a deer that we didn't want shot, but someone pulled the trigger on it because the deer had been busted up. Broke off a few times. It was a mistake that was a very avoidable, careless decision made, not by myself or Ted. But nonetheless, I was trying to get that buck put back together because he'd broke off some of his points. And on the hoof, I've calculated him to score 175 with 2 G1s busted off at the base, a broke G3, and just with that, he was a 161. 27.5-inch main beams. He was 23.5 inches wide. I mean, had a 4-inch drop tine off the back of his left main beam. Just a spectacular deer. One of the best deer ever seen on the ranch. There's a couple that we see that were better than that, but goddamn, I wanted that deer to go another year, and he ended up on the ground. And God damn it.
Yeah.
You remember that evening when I was scoring that deer in the cooler?
Oh, yeah, I remember it.
What happened? And we don't have to name the party involved.
No, I won't.
How did that go down?
Well, when we both got back there to the cleaning station, I got there first because you were irritated and driving around. And, I'm just kind of standing there shaking my head. And you said, grab your phone. I want to score this deer. And we walked in to the walk-in cooler, and I remember I'm sitting on that ice chest that's in there. And you got your measuring tape, and you make your first measurement, and you scream out at the top of your lungs, "Motherfucker!" Yeah, then you give me you give me the number, and I'm just sitting there, going, "God damn, I'm glad this wasn't me." You said, "All right, let me do the right side." God damn it! And I'm like, oh, son of a bitch. Yeah. And we're inside of that walk-in cooler, and the sound resonates like shit. Well, about that time, the guilty party walked up and saw us in there and opened the door. And man, you're not looking at him. You're bent over, aimed away from the door, just making measurements. And I don't say anything, and I just motion, get the fuck out of here. Go, 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 go. And the door gets closed, and you're like, all right, right side G2. God damn it!
Boy, I think that was a goddamn. There had been only a couple of mistakes, made in the history of that ranch that I owned it. But goddamn, that was a fucking Mac Daddy mistake, because if you're into South Texas deer hunting, just based on the score, for the most part, that's $11,000-$12,000 deer. And,
oh yeah,
he was shot for a cull buck, and there ain't no cull bucks I know of that score 175 plus.
But, so you're running a hell of a program. I don't know what the fuck we were doing all that time, but apparently it was wrong. Damn. Yeah, it's different when the mistakes that were made were young deer, and it's an assumed potential that was never reached, And in reality, that those deer could have been snake bit. They could have had a genetic defect that appeared later on in life. Shit you didn't know. You just knew that they were the type of young deer that we wanted to give an opportunity to, and it's kind of a shot in the dark. Well, then when you bring that plow up to the cleaning station and go, well, there we go. Yeah, it's like, motherfucker.
Well,
yeah.
Goddamn, he was on the, when we sold the ranch in the brochure, he was one of the pictures in the brochure. And I think there was two pictures of him. One he was at 3.5, and the other one he was at 5.5. And, at 3.5, you can tell he's got potential. At 5, he's a plow. At 6.5, fuck, he was a rake. And when I got the call, hey, man, that deer is down. And, man, I drive up. All of a sudden, that deer is about halfway in the brush. And I look at the brush and like, God damn, that's a fucking big-ass pile of horns. And I said, man, that's a big-ass pile of horns. And I started looking at the deer, and I'm like, I got to keep my cool. I said, you have got to be shitting me. I'm livid. I'm about as mad as I've been in probably 15 years. I said, he says, is that the right one? I said, hell no, that ain't the right one. That's the wrong fucking deer. But I'm doing everything that's humanly possible to remain calm. And I said, well, he ain't gonna load himself in the back of the buggy. Let's put him in there. We put one of the biggest deer on the ranch in the back of the buggy, take him over. I said, well, I'm going to go help Ted. And I think you had a hog down or something.
No, I'll tell that story. It's pretty funny.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways, I drove over, and I just had to, I think I went and made a whiskey before I left the goddamn house, because I needed to get something in me other than a fucking 15 Xanax to settle my ass down. I almost had to start doing some DDP yoga and some deep breathing exercises, but goddamn, I was madder than a hornet. So anyway, I come over to see you. What had you gotten in the middle of?
If you remember, I had brought in a picture from the night before, And I said, dude, there's a trash buck over there that needs a bullet. And I showed you the video, and you're like, yeah, dude, I concur. He needs to go. So when that big deer got shot, I got a picture on my phone, and I got to looking at it, and I was like, boy, man, that's not the greatest angle, but man, I'm not sure. And about that time, you called me, and it's still hunting light. And that's when I knew something was wrong, because you don't ever call me. We text back and forth, but for you to call me, I thought, oh, motherfuck. So I closed the windows of my blind real quick, and you're like, did you see that picture? I said, yeah. That's the wrong goddamn deer. Where are you at? I said, I'm at Lone Star. I'm coming over. I said, all right. As soon as I hung the phone up, that trash buck comes out. And I'm shooting that suppressor. Well, that sumbitch looks at me and boom, he gets a bullet. And all of a sudden my goddamn phone rings again. And it was you, and you go, dude, did you shoot? I go, hey, man, relax. It was the right deer. I shot the right deer, man. Just be cool. Your blood pressure. Yeah, that was me. I'm good.
Well, I gotta make sure what the fuck's going on, man. Got the neighbors on the east fence line. I think maybe they're coming, cutting holes in the goddamn fence. Somebody's trying to shoot on my goddamn deer. Fuck, I'm trying to let these things grow up and be happy and grow big horns. I've said I'm worried about my fucking deer herd.
Tim, the inmates are running the asylum now. They're shooting everything,
But that's what's going to be interesting. To get back out there next year, man. I think I'm just content with shooting some steel targets. I just unloaded my bow. Fucking been sitting in the alley over here by my house for about 2 months. I picked it up the other day. I didn't try to pull it back. My damn right shoulder's got a little bit of a pop in it when I draw back. But I think I might be able to start shooting over here. And I had a target, and I shit canned it, so I'm going to get my damn target. I'm just going to target shoot with my bow. I don't think, I don't want to try bow hunting. But right now, I got my safe installed in my garage, the one that I brought from the ranch, and I have 2 other safes. So I got everything on lockdown over here. I just need a place to use it, and that's the problem. But luckily, those guys at Cold Steel invite me down to shoot with them every Sunday or Wednesday whenever I want to go, so I can at least go shoot some steel targets, because that's the biggest thing I miss. And one of the things that I wish we would have done more of was just go down to that target range, and we always talked about it, we never did, and just shoot guns.
Yeah.
At targets. And then, hell, for Christmas, Ted got me this badass steel target you put down. And what did that motherfucker, was it just hanging from a chain, or did it flip something up? Yeah, just hanging from a chain.
No. It hung from 2 pieces of chain.
Yeah. So we got to shoot that a couple of times, but what we wanted to do was put that bitch about 500 yards out and shoot either off the bench or prone or whatever out the back of the pickup truck. And that's one thing that I wanted to do more of back then. But now that's what I want to do now, is to go to like a shooting course, or not like sniper school. I'm not trying to shoot people. I just want to be able to call wind and make those long wind adjustments, because you know how we shot down there, Teddy. We'd sight everything in, or we you and me did the same thing every time. We sighted dead in. We sighted dead on at 100. And then if we were shooting further, we just were elevated and just kind of shot off instinct, everything. And all of the deer hunting was at pretty much close quarters, within 150. But those hog shots and those coyote shots, 400 or 500 yards easy.
Oh, yeah.
But it was just us doing instinctive shooting and shooting, over, raising elevation. But I'd like to be able to do that where you kind of, move your crosshairs and learn how to call a wind and get out to that 1,000-yard stuff. Not that I've just got this hard on for 1,000 yards, but long range shooting.
Oh, dude, there's definitely a science to it, and yeah, it's very intriguing. I don't know. I know for a fact there's no place around here that does anything like that. I don't know, if they do anything in, outside of Houston or San Antonio, but yeah, that's very cool. We've got one shooting range in the next town that, you pay an annual membership, and it's just some guy's property, and he's got a big ass mound of dirt and, some benches set up at 100 and 200 yards. And that's, about as professional a shooting range as we've got around here.
Dude, I went to a shooting range out here in Los Angeles one time, about 50 miles out, and we was trying to sight in a Remington 700 7 mag, and we got there, and I am into a public shooting place and shit damn near my whole life, because I've always been on a lease or been out in the country with people, and all of a sudden we go there to the firing range and you get your spot, and you get a chance to go set your target when the range master yells stop, open your weapon or open your bolt, clear your weapon, whatever it is, put it down, okay, proceed down course, okay, everybody come back. Dude, we did that a couple times, and I'm thinking when we were swapping that target out, trying to make adjustments on that scope to get it sighted in, it's like, man, here's the thing. If someone's having a bad day back there at the shooting line, and we're out here adjusting these targets, you're kind of fucked. So I just didn't like that feeling, and I've never been back since then. So I'm lucky that I have a few friends out here that I can shoot with that are super safe like I am, and you ain't got nobody to fucking worry about.
Oh yeah, dude. I don't like shooting around, a bunch of people, that I don't know, just because of that fact. You get some nut job that's off his meds, and he's like, well, that sure looks like the guy that was banging my wife, start rattling off a few rounds, and, you just happen to be the recipient of it. Nah, thank you, no.
Hey, man, when I was talking to you yesterday while you was getting your staples, or just sending you some text messages, I said, hey, man, UFC 211 stacked card, you watching? You said yes. What'd you think of the fights? Did you see it from start to finish?
No, not from start to finish. Remember, I dropped DirecTV, so I didn't get the preliminary fights. I go to the UFC channel and buy the pay-per-view. So it's a one-time Louis. But no, I'm not sure who they started off. I mean, I heard a couple of people, yourself included, say that those pre-fights were badass.
Goddamn, I didn't see all of the pre-fights. Where I clipped in at was Chase Sherman, a dude out of Mississippi, versus Rashad Coulter. And god damn, that Chase Sherman's a big dude. He's about 6'4", 250 or so. The dude was a big cat too. And goddamn, he started teeing off on some leg kicks, and Rashad Coulter, man, he could barely stand up. And Chase Sherman was about to finish him off, and I think he got a little lax. And boy, Rashad Coulter's heavy-handed started coming back and started damaging Chase Sherman. And boy, all of a sudden it turned into a knockdown drag out. It was one of the best fights I've seen in a long time. So, man, I tell you what, Chase Sherman won that fight. Man, that kid, and with respect to Rashad Coulter too, bad stick of wood, but that Chase Sherman might be a potential superstar. Got a hell of a look to him. Still fairly young in the game. And then some cat named Jason Knight and Chaz Skelly put on a goddamn, that first match, that first round was like a goddamn tornado. These guys were all over the place. Anyway, so that Jason Knight won that one. It was a tremendous fight. And then Eddie Alvarez versus Dustin Poirier. Hell of a goddamn fight. Eddie Alvarez was kind of in a down position, and Dustin Poirier hit him with a knee. Maybe the first knee was legal. The second two were not legal. Herb Dean, I don't know if you didn't see it or what the story was. I heard it a million times, but goddamn, it was declared a no finish, or basically no, it wasn't a win or a loss, just right. No finish. So it was like, goddamn, the fight went back and forth. You got two, I think it was number 3 and number 8 ranked fighters. And goddamn, just a badass fucking fight. And then that happened, so it was a shit ending to that. But anyway, getting into the pay-per-view. That first match, I didn't really get that one. David Branch, hadn't been in the UFC for a couple years. And this guy, Krzysztof Jotko, man, he was ranked number 9 in that division. So I'm thinking, okay, here comes this guy. He's been out of UFC for a couple years. He's 35, but he's like 20-2, David Branch. And this Krzysztof Jotko was ranked number 9 in the division. So I'm thinking, okay, this Jotko guy is going to probably kick his ass. Dude, it was the exact opposite. It wasn't an exciting fight, but I don't know why Krzysztof couldn't get off and just really use any offense at all. Did you see that fight?
That was the very first one. Yeah, I did. No, that was kind of it was very much a letdown. I mean, when you think of a guy that's ranked number 9 going against a cat that's been out for a little while, well, he ought to just ragdoll him all over the place, and that was not the case. And then you start thinking, God damn, is the whole card going to be like this?
Well, after that strong undercard, I was like, man, I don't know if they can follow the undercard. And so anyway, it was respect to both fighters, but goddamn, it was a little bit, I got to give David Branch respect for that, for topping off the number 9 guy. But then I tell you what, dude, Frankie Edgar versus Yair Rodriguez. That Yair Rodriguez is dynamic as fuck. This kid's going to be a superstar in the making. But Frankie Edgar, man, I've been a Frankie Edgar fan forever. That guy is tough as nails, and he never stops coming. And I was thinking, man, this is going to be interesting, because Frankie Edgar's one of the toughest in the history of the UFC. You got this whiz kid, Rodriguez, who's just got these spectacular skills, and God damn, boy, you talk about a drumming Frankie Edgar put on this kid. But you know what I think about that fight, Teddy? I think that Rodriguez, after weathering the storm that Frankie put him through and just totally dominated him, I think as dynamic as this kid is, I think this fight's going to make him a better fighter just because of the schooling and the beating Frankie Edgar put on him.
Well, that sumbitch probably ain't seeing too much out of that left eye this morning.
God almighty, you talk about nasty. Son of a bitch. What was your thoughts about Frankie Edgar? I think he's going to put himself in line for another title fight.
Oh, dude, I agree. I thought Frankie Edward was a lightweight champ.
No, he was a champ a while back, and that's he's been without a belt for a little bit now. But I mean, he's always right there on the edge, if not in contention. So just.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about making a good case for yourself, to whip up on that Rodriguez kid, who's the young up and comer, and show that you're still able to handle your business. Oh, I agree. I think he's definitely up for another title shot.
Dude, Damian Maia versus Jorge Masvidal. My buddy called me. He says, man, he goes, it's going to go Damian Maia round 1. And I told him, I said, really? I didn't know a whole lot about Masvidal. And, man, Maia got this crazy jiu-jitsu background. And sure enough, the way he just kind of sworn to me is like a fucking python on an animal. And I said, man, he was right. It might go in the first round. Then all of a sudden, that fucking Jorge Masvidal started teeing off, finding his range, throwing some leg kicks in there and some fucking good hands. And goddamn, it came down to a decision, but Damian Maia with the win. But goddamn, I thought, I didn't know who Masvidal was, because I get all the pay-per-views, but I just didn't know the kid. Who do you think won that fight?
Dude, I thought Maia did. But I don't think those jiu-jitsu guys like getting hit in the mouth. I mean, I think that's where the tide turns. As long as Maia could get his hands on that guy, and I can't even pronounce the kid's name. But those guys wrap you up. It's like Ronda. Ronda get you in her grasp while you're in business. You give her a couple of wraps on the beak. Well, that changes the complexion of things. And I think that's what happened to Maia. I think he took a couple of shots, on the nose and was like, fuck this. I better grab a hold of this guy.
Well, I mean, but it was just, a couple times they're down the cage, and Kristen says, oh, this is kind of getting bored. And I said, no, man. I said, this is a classic fucking case. Masvidal wants this thing standing up. Maia wants it on the ground.
On the ground,
so they both had their strategy. So when Maia was on him, dude, you saw the difference. And it was interesting in hearing Joe Rogan call it, because he was like, well, Masvidal's instilling more damage while he's on his feet. And he asked him this question, Damian Maia, at the end of the fight, but I thought Maia won the fight hands down, split decision. But goddamn, Masvidal sure impressed the shit out of me. But hey, man, if you don't know about that Damian Maia, I mean, he's been around forever. I think he's probably about 38 years old, but he put himself finally in line for a shot at the title. And you talk about earning it. Fuck, I think he's got 7 wins underneath his belt. And finally, he's going to get a shot at the title after the champ fights whoever it is. So he earned a shot from that fight, and goddamn, that was well deserved. That cat's a bad stick of wood. A lot of people.
Oh, absolutely.
Everybody in the mixed martial arts knows about him, but a lot of people don't know really. He's not a household name, but bad stick of wood that's paid his dues. Dude, Joanna, the chick from Poland, I can't pronounce her name, Joanna Jedrzejczyk, against Jessica Andrade from Brazil, and she drops down from 135 to go 115. And I was thinking, man, as that chick was walking to the ring, Jessica Andrade, I'm thinking, man, this lady is aggressive as hell. And I said, maybe with that compact size, she's going to have this kind of strength factor that might be too much for Joanna. And what were your thoughts pre-match?
Oh, dude, yeah. I thought that the smaller girl, was just going to bulldog her, being a little more compact, a little stouter. And she put some knots on that taller girl's head. I don't know if you saw her.
Oh, yeah. It's hard to miss that.
Oh, dude, yeah. It's like growing little horns out, It's like, boy, that's a tough way to make a living. But, yeah, no, those chicks are scrappy. I mean, even at $115, that's, I wouldn't want to fight them.
Well, it's interesting because I'm just a huge fan, but I don't really get the technical aspects of it. So I was watching everybody's tweets after the fight. And first of all, I knew Joanna was bad because I've been following her career for a couple of years. I mean, she's just premier. That's why she's the champ, and she's about to make history. But, I didn't know that technically, well, I can see that she's kicking ass, but like, dude, when you see the tweets from all the, some of the top UFC guys, like, hey man, this is probably the best striker in the business right now, male or female. So I didn't know that I knew she was bad. I didn't know she was that bad. So as she weathered that first storm, I thought that Andrade had a chance there for a little bit with just some roughhouse. She got to close the distance, get inside, and just hit her with something. She's heavy-handed to begin with. Just hit her with something to slow her down. But dude, after Joanna weathered that first early storm, she just found her range and turned it into a clinic. But I'll tell you what, the way that Jessica Andrade kept walking forward the entire time, hell, the one time she got kicked in the head and started smiling. That is one tough-ass woman.
Yeah, no, I mean, that chick never took a step back. You're absolutely right. I mean, she kept pushing forward, and that's, that's something to speak of.
I think Rogan put it best. I mean, that was it was different level. I mean, that Joanna is so elite with her skills that it just, I don't know. Props for Jessica Andrade, not for fucking not stopping walking forward. That was amazing. But that Joanna's kind of in a league of her own right now. It'll be interesting how long she can continue this winning streak. Finally, the main event, Stipe Miocic versus Junior Dos Santos. Goddamn, I was really wanting Stipe to win this thing, but for some reason I was thinking, man, this JDS he's been gone a while. He made a little bit of a comeback. He's back in the game. He gets a title fight. Obviously, he earned it. So I'm thinking they went to war the first time. JDS, it was a bloodbath. Jesus Christ, just a slugfest. It was one of the most brutal fights I've ever seen. And those guys were teeing off on each other. And Dos Santos won that fight. So I was thinking, man, does he have a mental edge because he beat him once? Or Stipe, he had 4 title defenses since
I believe so.
Becoming a champion? Yeah, so, or is he, on a head of steam himself? He's a champion, and like Rogan said, he's improved himself. So I was real worried about this one, that maybe Dos Santos, with those big-ass, heavy, accurate hands, was going to do damage to Stipe, but not so fast, my friend, as Stipe ends up with a TKO. But it was interesting because when JDS started throwing those leg kicks, man, it fucked old fucking Stipe's shins up. And I think maybe that's why, like a sense of urgency, as Rogan said, that's why he moved forward and boom, or maybe that was his game plan all along. But goddamn, it was like, dude, I might need to put on a pair of rattlesnake boots for this cat.
Dude, even though the fight with those big guys moves a little slower, than some of the smaller wrestlers do or smaller fighters do, dude, those big bastards throw those leg kicks, and man, that has to just almost cripple you. Goddamn, but I think you're absolutely right. I mean, he kicked Stipe there a handful of times, and he was like, dude, fuck that.
Well, dude, in that undercard match, when that Chase Sherman was, because I'm always asking myself, man, how much can that hurt? And it's like, because you just want to know. I mean, it's like, I mean, it's it's a ridiculous question for me to ask, because, you know, I'd never go up to an accomplished MMA guy and say, hey, man, I always wanted to feel what one of them leg kicks would feel like. Could you go ahead and haul off and kick me in my left leg? Tell me so I can see how it feels.
Just for shits and giggles.
Yeah, just for shits and giggles, so I know. But, dude, when Chase Sherman was kicking that fuck out of Rashad Coulter, or when you see this big-ass gimmick raise up off of Stipe's leg, it's like, God damn, you talk about, they're basically hitting you in the leg with a baseball bat.
Yeah. Oh, dude, you know, the day after, boy, that's got to be a Charlie horse, son of a bitch.
Goddamn. Talking about that, I'd like to see how Rodriguez's eye looks today, because that son of a bitch was a mess.
Use a piece of rice for sunglasses, man. I bet that thing's swollen pretty shut.
Dude, when they were trying to get in there and look and see his eyeball, I mean, you couldn't see a goddamn thing. That had to be a weird feeling. That kid had a lot of damn guts and courage, because he never, even fighting off his back, when Frankie was putting a pound into him, this kid was still fighting from the bottom and landed a couple of shots. He's salty as hell. I give him all the credit in the world for having a bunch of guts, and that kid's going to be a superstar. He is a special breed.
Oh, I agree with you. You know, get some more fights, a little more tenure, and he'll come up.
That's just one of those cases of stepping in there with a salty ass top talent, badass dude like Frankie Edgar. Boy, Frankie Edgar wasn't going to be denied, but shit, Teddy, what's next for you,
dude? Just working, doing my thing. You know, Chris has got some new stuff coming out with the Camo Company. You know, excited about that. Got some samples sent to the house, changing up the fabric a little bit, modifying the pattern a little bit. You know, getting excited about the Element stuff.
Man, those guys at Element Outdoors make some good stuff. You got a Twitter or a website for them?
Well, their website is elementoutdoors.com. Yeah, and like I said, we're getting ready to put the final touches on, you know, I guess they refer to it as, you know, second generation, the second go of the camo pattern. But I need to send you a sample of the cloth. I mean, I'd never seen anything like it before. Very soft, very warm, very quiet. It's good looking stuff.
Is it dry fit?
Stuff. Yeah.
No, those guys got great patterns.
Yeah. No, and like I said, tweaking the patterns a little bit. Coming up with a new hoodie. That's very cool. Very cool.
All right, dude. So what's the story? When are you going to get those staples taken out of your arm?
Man, I think the doctor said like 8 to 10 days I got to go back in there. And I was like, dude, can I not do it myself? I mean, I would think you could be able to just cut the top and the two pieces would come out. Do I really, truly need to go back in there?
Dude, I think you ought to do both of you a favor and just tell him you'll meet him at the bar and he can do it there.
Dude, have you got your phone turned off? Because I don't want you owing everybody a beer.
Yeah, it's off.
All right, hold on, man. Buy me 2 minutes, because I'm going to send you a picture so you will see that I am not kidding.
Goddamn, dude, you ought to see this new fucking dog we got. That Callie, you talk about hell on wheels. This damn dog, I think she's got the potential to be an outstanding dog. She's very smart, and you know, Moolah's 4 years old, and that damn dog will jump off the couch in the air to try to jump on her like a panther out of a tree. And Moolah might be 3 or 4 feet away, and she might probably going to go short and just land on the ground. She doesn't give a fuck about anything. God damn that dog. She's smart now. She's got a hell of a damn will on her. She's an alpha pup for sure. So we got to make sure she knows who's boss. But that damn dog, she's going to be awesome. Holy fuck!
Dude, she's getting bigger. She's getting bigger.
What the
that
fuck
picture
is this train wreck? Jesus fucking Christ.
That's going to make a nice scar, isn't it?
I don't even know why they stitched it. That's a waste of good metal.
I told you that son of a bitch had a couple of test fires there where he took them off, and you know, he's like, damn it. You know, and if I had been quick-witted enough, you know, I'd be like, dude, you've done this before, haven't you? let's bring that fucking nurse back in. She's got a steadier hand than you do. It's like, Jesus.
I tell you what, some bitch was headed to the bar. Either that or he just got back from the bar, stitched you up, and then wanted to go back home and get on the bottle again. Okay, if you look at the top of the picture, that stitch isn't even necessary because it's too close to where the wound is almost already closed up.
Correct.
The second stitch, Jesus Christ, I mean, how he fucked that up is beyond belief. That third stitch wants to pull the gaping wound together. That fourth is, whoops, got a mulligan going on over here. I think it's high on the left side, sunken on the right side, ain't doing a goddamn thing, and that goddamn 1, 2, 3, 4. Number 5, come on, man. Number 5 is an NFL come on, man. What the fuck was he doing with that one?
The other end is going right in the fucking cut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then 6 and 7, I mean, 7's not needed because it's over there on the end too, but I mean, I guess he put it there because he fucked up 6 as well.
1 and 7 are some of his best work, and they were unnecessary.
Well, you can say this about him. He starts good, he finishes good, he just not so... He just all over the place in the middle of the ball game, dude. That dude. I'm glad you took a picture. That's worth a fucking lawsuit right there. I smell money. I smell about $250,000 for physical and emotional suffering. God Almighty, boy, you talk about a clusterfuck. That's the worst. I've seen a lot of stitches in my day, and these are staples, but they do the same thing. That's the worst staple job I've seen in my entire life.
Oh, dude, once again, what do you do? When our healthcare professionals, are,
dude, I could have stapled
like
you better than that.
Yeah.
And I ain't never used a staple gun other than the kind we use at shooting range, staple targets,
dude,
to a piece of plywood.
That's some bitch tried and took some out. It wasn't like a one-time Louis. It's not like you're using super glue, when you glue it together and you're like, well, dude, whoops. There's not enough sorries in the world going to take that back.
Well,
no,
dude,
son of a bitch, it's numb.
Well,
dude, you're not hurting me. Dude, if you don't like your work, redo it. Fuck.
Well, I just thought, why didn't they just super glue it and stare strip it? I mean, if that would have been a better solution than this, but I still think he should have stitched it the old-fashioned way. Now, dude, ready to get to the bottle. All right.
I didn't even think about the super glue in that little steri strip. Shit, I'll go down to the fucking kids' art center next time I get cut. Have one of those little cocksuckers, fix me up. It's got to be better than this.
Jesus Christ. All right. Well, Ted Fowler and the medical conditions down there at Rockport, Texas, they're all doing fine. Teddy, I appreciate you talking to me. It's good catching up with you.
Yeah, man, no problem.
And, on Twitter and on Instagram, Ted Fowler 361.
I'm Lance Storm, and if I can be serious for a minute, I'd like to invite you all to join me and Cyrus on Killing the Town, where we discuss everything pro wrestling, share road stories, and explain the importance of being top talent and staying over. Check out new episodes of Killing the Town every Tuesday at PodcastOne.com, the Podcast One app, or subscribe on iTunes.
All right, everybody, give me the go home cue. It's time to wrap up this podcast and ride off in the sunset. Before I ride off in the sunset and take care of the rest of my work day, I want to thank my buddy Ted Fowler 361. You can find him on Twitter and Instagram at Ted Fowler 361. Hey, talking about Element Outdoors. I believe they're on Twitter, and you can check out elementoutdoors.com for some badass camo. Always good catching up with Ted. That goddamn guy's got so much shit going on. That goddamn picture of the cut he sent me that he stuck that knife in his arm, them stitches, holy smoke, them staples, rather, was just out of this fucking world. Maybe he'll post a picture on his Instagram account when this podcast drops. Anyway, goddammit, it was good talking to Teddy down there in Rockport, Texas. Hey, man, we're going to keep his clothes short. ProWrestlingTees.com/Steve Austin has all my T-shirts from Broken Skull Challenge. If you want a badass IPA, try Steve Austin's Broken Skull IPA. And you can find it at Whole Foods and Total Wine if you live in Cali. If you ain't in Cali, check out InsideTheCellar.com and see if they ship to your state. You can find everything at Steve Austin related at BrokenSkullRanch.com, including the Cold Steel Broken Skull knife and the new Working Man knife. And I got to say one more thank you to all the fine sponsors of the Steve Austin Show. That's how I'm able to do this podcast for you twice a week for free. And you can find all my sponsors at PodcastOne.com. Just click on the Killer Deals button at the top of the page and then click on the Steve Austin Show banner. Hey, folks, keep listening. The 60-second AP News headlines are coming up next. Until then, my name is Steve Austin, and I will catch your ass down the road.
Download new episodes of Steve Austin Unleashed every Thursday at PodcastOne.com. That's PodcastOne.com.